Emma Collins kissed the stranger because she was afraid. She kept kissing him because the man behind her had finally stopped touching her. The moment happened beneath the golden lights of a luxury restaurant on Nob Hill, where expensive cars waited beside the curb and wealthy guests paused under the awning to stare. 1 second, Emma was fighting to free her wrist from Derek Vance. The next, her arms were wrapped around the neck of a man she had never seen before. The stranger was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed in a black suit that looked severe enough to belong at a funeral. His dark hair was combed away from a face built from hard lines and controlled violence. A thin scar crossed his left eyebrow. A silver watch rested against his wrist. Emma barely noticed any of it. She only noticed that Derek had followed her again. She only noticed his fingers digging into her skin. She only noticed the hateful certainty in his voice when he told her she still belonged to him. So Emma rose onto her toes, pressed her trembling body against the stranger, and kissed him. For a single breath, the man did not move. The entire sidewalk seemed to hold its breath with him. Emma felt the stranger's surprise in the sudden stillness of his body. She expected him to push her away. She expected anger, disgust, or confusion. Instead, one of his hands settled around her waist. His palm spread against the curve of her back. Then he pulled her closer. The kiss changed. It was no longer the desperate performance Emma had begun. It became slow, controlled, and frighteningly deliberate. The stranger did not take more than she offered, but he made it clear that he was not a man who did anything without purpose. Emma's heartbeat stumbled. She forgot the cold air. She forgot the watching crowd. She almost forgot Derek. Then the stranger lifted his head and looked over her shoulder. His hand remained around her waist. Derek had turned pale. The rage that had twisted his face seconds earlier was gone. His grip loosened around Emma's wrist until his hand fell away completely. Roman Valenti, Derek whispered. The name moved through the crowd like a warning. Several guests stepped backward. A restaurant employee near the entrance lowered his gaze. 2 men in dark suits appeared from beside a black sport utility vehicle. Their movements calm and synchronized. They did not reach for weapons. They did not need to. Fear had already reached Derek. Emma looked from Derek to the stranger, whose arm still held her firmly against him. Roman Valenti. She knew the name. Everyone in San Francisco knew the name. Some people said the Valenti family owned half the waterfront. Others claimed judges, police officials, shipping executives, and politicians answered Roman's calls before they answered their own families. Nothing had ever been proven. Nothing needed to be. Emma slowly removed her arms from Roman's neck. "I am sorry," she said. "I did not know who you were." Roman looked down at her. His eyes were an unsettling shade of gray. Cold at first glance, but sharpened by something more dangerous than anger. Interest. "Who is he?" Roman asked. Emma did not have to turn around. "No one important." Derek stepped forward, forcing a weak laugh. "This is a misunderstanding. Emma is my girlfriend? Former girlfriend?" Emma said. Roman's gaze remained on her. "Did you ask him to touch you?" "No." "Did you ask him to follow you?" "No." "Did you ask him to bring you home?" Emma swallowed. "No." Roman finally looked at Derek. "Then she is not yours." His voice was quiet. That made it worse. Derek glanced toward the 2 men standing nearby. He tried to straighten his shoulders, but fear had already exposed him. "This has nothing to do with you." Roman's thumb moved once against Emma's waist. "She placed her mouth on me in front of 50 witnesses. That made it my business." Emma stared at him. Roman did not smile. Derek's fear turned into humiliation. "She did it to make me jealous. She always plays games." Emma's shame burned hotter than the cold around her. Before she could defend herself, Roman stepped between them. His body blocked Derek from her view. You have mistaken her decision to leave for an invitation to chase her, Roman said. That mistake ends tonight. Derek glanced around as though someone in the crowd might help him. No one moved. Roman addressed the men behind him. Mr. Vance appears to have forgotten where he parked. Help him find his car. The two men approached. Derek backed away. I can leave by myself. One of Roman's men opened the rear door of a black vehicle. Roman did not raise his voice. Then leave. Derek looked at Emma one final time. There was fear in his eyes. There was hatred too. This is not over. Roman's expression did not change. It is for you. Derek was escorted into the vehicle. The door closed, and the black car pulled away from the curb. Only then did Roman release Emma. The absence of his hand felt strangely immediate. Emma stepped backward, pressing her fingers against the wrist Derek had bruised. Around them, the sidewalk remained silent. Roman glanced toward the crowd. People immediately returned to their conversations, though no one sounded natural. Emma lifted her chin. Thank you. Roman studied her as though she had presented him with a puzzle. You kiss strangers often. Only when men refuse to understand the word no. That answer almost changed his expression. Almost. He glanced at her wrist. Did he hurt you? I have survived worse. That was not what I asked. Emma felt the old instinct to minimize what had happened. Derek had trained that response into her. Every bruise became an accident. Every threat became a misunderstanding. Every frightened night became evidence that she was too sensitive. She forced herself to tell the truth. Yes. Roman's jaw tightened. The reaction was brief. But Emma saw it. She also noticed the men near the restaurant entrance watching Roman, waiting for him to enter. You were going somewhere, she said. A meeting. Then I should let you go. Roman looked at the restaurant doors. Beyond the glass stood several powerful men surrounded by security. They were waiting for him. He returned his attention to Emma. What is your name? Emma Collins. Where do you work? Emma Collins. She pointed toward the restaurant. Inside, Roman looked at her black service dress and the wool coat she had thrown over it after her shift. You work here 5 nights a week, and your former boyfriend knows your schedule. Her stomach tightened. He knows everything about my schedule. Roman's gaze hardened. That is going to change. Emma frowned. I appreciate what you did, but you do not need to involve yourself any further. Roman took one step closer. The sidewalk noise seemed to disappear again. You walked toward the most dangerous man on this street and kissed him without permission. I was desperate. That does not make you foolish. It makes you interesting. Emma's pulse quickened. That sounded less like a compliment and more like a sentence. Roman opened the restaurant door. Go back inside. Finish whatever remains of your shift. One of my men will drive you home. I can take the bus. No. Emma crossed her arms. You do not get to decide that. Roman's eyes moved over her face. You are right. The answer surprised her. Then he continued. You can choose between my car and a police escort. Your former boyfriend has already threatened you in public. Those are the options available tonight. Emma narrowed her eyes. You always make choices sound like orders. Only when people are in danger. She should have walked away. Instead, she asked the question that had begun troubling her. Why do you care? For the first time, Roman hesitated. His gaze dropped to her lips. Because I can still feel your mouth. Then he entered the restaurant, leaving Emma beneath the golden lights with her heart beating far too quickly. Inside, the dining room changed when Roman appeared. Conversations softened. Men who had ignored Emma all evening stood to greet him. The manager hurried forward with a nervous smile and offered Roman the private dining room upstairs. Emma returned to the service station and tried to steady her hands. Her co-worker, Lucy, rushed toward her. Was that Roman Valenti? Emma reached for a tray of water glasses. Apparently. Did you kiss him? Apparently. Lucy gripped Emma's arm. Do you understand what you just did? Emma stared toward the staircase where Roman had disappeared. No. That was the honest answer. She had spent 2 years trying to escape one possessive man. She had no intention of becoming interesting to another. Yet an hour later, when her shift ended, a black sport utility vehicle waited at the curb. A man named Gabriel Moretti opened the door for her. He was Roman's head of security, though he introduced himself only as someone responsible for making sure she reached home safely. Emma refused twice. Gabriel waited patiently. Then he showed her a photograph on his phone. Derek's car was parked 1 block from Emma's apartment. The image had been taken less than 10 minutes earlier. Emma climbed into the vehicle. Her apartment occupied the 3rd floor of an aging building in the Richmond district. The hallway smelled like old wood and someone's burned dinner. Emma had chosen the place because the rent was low and the windows filled the living room with morning light. Tonight, the building felt exposed. Gabriel walked her upstairs. The lock on her door had been scratched. Emma stopped breathing. Gabriel moved in front of her and quietly signaled to another guard who had followed them from the vehicle. The men entered first. No one was inside. Nothing appeared stolen. A single red rose rested on Emma's pillow. Beside it lay a note written in Derek's familiar handwriting. You cannot hide behind him forever. Emma stood in the bedroom doorway, unable to move. Gabriel photographed the note. Roman will want you moved tonight. Emma stared at him. Roman does not control where I live. No, Gabriel said. But the man who entered your bedroom believes he does. Place. Emma called the police. 2 officers arrived almost an hour later. They examined the scratched lock, placed the note inside a plastic evidence bag, and asked whether Derek had ever been physically violent. Emma told them about the bruises. She told them about the threats. She told them that he had followed her after she ended the relationship. One officer explained that they could document the incident and help her request a restraining order. Neither officer promised Derek would be arrested. When they left, Gabriel remained in the hallway. Emma packed a small bag. She told herself she was not surrendering to Roman Valenti. She was making a temporary, intelligent choice. Gabriel drove her to a guarded hotel in Pacific Heights, where a private elevator opened directly into a suite larger than her entire apartment. Roman stood beside the windows. The city glowed below him. He had removed his suit jacket and loosened the collar of his black shirt. The sight of him without the formal armor should have made him appear less dangerous. It did not. On a marble table behind him rested the red rose in Derek's note. Emma looked at Gabriel. I thought the police took that. A photograph, Roman said. Emma entered the room. How did Derek get into my apartment? The lock was simple. That was not what I meant. Roman turned from the window. His expression was controlled. But something dark lived beneath it. He has been watching you longer than you realized. He knows where I work. He knows more than that. Roman touched a folder on the table. Emma opened it. Inside were photographs of her leaving work, buying groceries, sitting alone in a coffee shop, and visiting the public library. Some had been taken weeks earlier. Others were several months old. Her stomach turned. Where did you get these from Derek's car? You searched his car. My men searched it after they found him parked near your building. Emma looked at the photographs again. A few had symbols marked in the corners. Numbers appeared beside dates. Several images included notes about her habits. This is not only obsession, Roman said. It is surveillance. Why would Derek need to study me? He already knows me. Roman's silence answered before his words did. Because someone else is paying him. Emma looked up. Who I do not know yet. She closed the folder. You expect me to believe that you searched his car, discovered someone is using him, brought me to a guarded hotel, and still have no idea why I know what they want. What Roman stepped closer? Me. The words settled heavily between them. Emma shook her head. I have nothing to do with you. You kissed me in front of a restaurant filled with people who report every movement I make to my enemies. I did not know. They do not care. She stared at him. You think they believe we are together? Roman's gaze moved slowly across her face. By morning, most of the city will believe it. Emma laughed once, without humor. Then correct them. That would tell the person watching you that you mean nothing to me. I do mean nothing to you. Roman stopped directly in front of her. His eyes turned colder. That is the only lie you have told tonight. Emma felt anger rise through the fear. You do not know me. I know you were afraid and still chose to fight. I know you refused my car until you saw proof of danger. I know you called the police even though you believed they might not protect you. I know you are standing in a room with a man everyone fears. And you are more angry about losing control of your life than you are frightened of me. That does not mean you care about me. No, Roman said. It means I have not decided what you mean yet. Emma held his gaze. I am not staying here. Roman looked toward the windows. Derek is outside your apartment. Someone else is studying your routine. The story of our kiss is already spreading through every criminal circle in this city. You can leave. But you will not return home alone. He was giving her a choice. It was not a good choice. But it was real. Emma looked around the luxurious suite. The silence felt expensive and empty. Where will I go? My estate? Absolutely not. It is guarded. It is yours. That is why it is guarded. Emma pushed the folder toward him. One night, I will stay here tonight. Tomorrow I will find somewhere else. Roman watched her for several seconds. One night, he agreed. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she wondered why disappointment flickered across his face. Roman left before midnight. Gabriel remained outside the suite. Emma slept for less than 2 hours. At dawn, shouting erupted in the hallway. A gunshot shattered the silence. Emma rolled from the bed as the suite door burst open. Gabriel entered with blood on his shoulder. Stay behind me. Another bullet struck the wall beside the door. Glass exploded across the marble floor. Gabriel fired into the hallway. A man fell near the elevator. Emma crawled toward the bathroom. But footsteps approached from the service entrance behind her. A masked attacker appeared. He raised a gun. Before Emma could scream, the window behind him shattered. A figure in black descended from the roof on a security line and crashed through the glass. Roman landed between Emma and the gunman. He struck the weapon aside. The attacker fired into the ceiling. Roman moved with terrifying speed. He broke the man's wrist, drove him against the wall, and took the gun before the attacker could recover. The violence lasted only seconds. When it ended, the gunman lay unconscious on the floor. Roman turned toward Emma. Blood marked the side of his face where broken glass had cut him. He crossed the room and dropped to one knee in front of her. Are you hurt? Emma stared at him. You came through the window. The elevator was occupied. Another shot sounded in the hallway. Roman placed his body between Emma and the door. His hand rose toward her cheek, then stopped before touching her. Emma saw the restraint. She also saw fear in his eyes. Not fear for himself, fear for her. Gabriel entered again. The floor is secure. Roman did not look away from Emma. Prepare the estate. Emma shook her head. Roman. He finally touched her. His fingers closed gently around the back of her neck. Someone attacked a guarded hotel to reach you less than 8 hours after you kissed me. This is no longer a discussion. Emma should have resisted. Then she saw the blood soaking through Gabriel's shirt. She saw the bullet embedded in the wall above the bed where she had been sleeping. She looked into Roman's face and understood that danger had already chosen for her. Roman lifted her from the floor. Emma wrapped her arms around his shoulders as he carried her through the ruined suite. "Do not get used to this," she whispered. Roman's mouth tightened. Too late. The Valenti estate stood beyond the city in the wooded hills of Marin County. High stone walls surrounded the property. Cameras followed every vehicle through the gate. Armed guards patrolled gardens designed to resemble a private European retreat. The mansion itself overlooked the bay. It was beautiful. It was also a fortress. Roman gave Emma the east wing, including a bedroom with wide windows, a sitting room, and a balcony overlooking the water. He assigned 2 female security officers to remain nearby. Emma refused new clothes, a private chef, and a personal assistant. She accepted a replacement phone because her old one contained tracking software Derek had secretly installed. That discovery frightened her more than she admitted. Roman watched as a technician showed her the hidden program. Derek had been able to read her messages, record her location, and remotely activate her microphone. Emma set the phone on the table. "I lived with him for almost 3 years. Roman stood near the fireplace. Men reveal themselves slowly when they believe they own the person beside them. Emma looked at him. "You sound experienced." "I have known many men like Derek. Are you one of them?" The room became still. Roman approached the table. "I have controlled businesses, cities, enemies, and men who would kill me if I showed weakness. That was not my question." His eyes met hers. "No, I am worse than Derek in many ways. But I have never mistaken fear for loyalty or possession for love." Emma's pulse changed. Roman reached for the damaged phone. "You will have freedom inside these walls. You will be told the truth when that truth does not place others in danger. You can refuse my gifts, my company, and my protection once the threat is gone. And until then, you remain where I can keep you alive." Emma folded her arms. "You understand why that sounds like a prison?" Roman nodded once. "Yes." That answer unsettled her more than denial would have. For the next several days, Roman kept his distance. He left the estate before sunrise and returned after dark. Meetings took place behind closed doors. Black vehicles entered and left through the gates. Men spoke quietly in hallways and fell silent whenever Emma approached. She returned to work after Roman arranged discreet security around the restaurant. Emma insisted. She refused to let Derek, Roman, or an unknown enemy take away the ordinary life she had built. Roman hated the decision. He accepted it. Every evening, one of his guards drove her home. The estate had begun to feel like home before Emma noticed. The kitchen staff learned that she preferred coffee without sugar. The housekeeper began leaving fresh flowers in her sitting room. Gabriel recovered from the gunshot and started joining Emma for breakfast, where he told carefully edited stories about Roman's childhood. Roman had inherited the organization at 27 after his father and older brother died within the same year. He had responded by eliminating every rival who believed his grief made him weak. Since then, no one had seen Roman lose control, until the hotel. Gabriel did not say that part directly. He did not need to. One night, Emma found Roman alone in the library. He sat behind a desk covered with photographs, financial documents, and maps of the city. His sleeves were rolled to his elbows, revealing black ink along his forearms. A tattoo of a broken crown disappeared beneath the fabric of his shirt. Roman looked up. "You should be asleep. You should stop saying that every time you do not want me to see what you are doing." His gaze returned to the documents. "I found the men who attacked the hotel." Emma crossed the room. "Who hired them?" "A company connected to Marco Serrano." The name meant nothing to her. Roman explained that the Serrano family controlled shipping routes south of the city. Their peace with the Valentis had lasted for 7 years. "Why would they risk a war? Because I kissed you?" Roman leaned back in his chair. "They would not. Then something else is happening. Yes. Emma looked at the photographs. One showed Derek entering a warehouse with a man whose face had been marked in red. Derek borrowed money from a Serrano gambling operation. Roman said, the debt became large. He began transporting information to pay it. Information about me. At first, Emma's skin turned cold. Then he offered them something more valuable. Me. Roman's silence confirmed it. What could they want from me? Access. To the estate. To my judgment. Emma looked at him. You brought me here knowing that I could be used against you. I brought you here because you were already being used against me. She stepped closer. There is a difference. A significant one. Explain it. Roman stood. When I make a decision because an enemy threatens something, that is manipulation. When I make the same decision because I choose to protect someone, that is power. Emma's frustration rose. You turn everything into control. Because control keeps people alive. Did it keep your family alive? The question escaped before she could stop it. Roman became motionless. Emma regretted the words immediately. I am sorry. Do not be. You asked the right question. He walked toward the window. My mother died when I was 15. A bomb was placed beneath her car. My father survived another 18 years by never loving anyone more than his empire. My brother tried to leave. He was killed before he reached the airport. Emma moved closer but did not touch him. And you, Roman, watched the dark trees outside. I learned not to leave. That was not what she meant. But she understood. Roman had built walls because everyone he loved had been taken. He protected people by keeping them near. He survived by becoming impossible to reach. Emma looked at his reflection in the glass. Is that why there is no one else here? There are hundreds of people here. That is not what I asked. Roman turned. The dangerous calm in his face had weakened. There has never been anyone worth the risk. Emma's heartbeat deepened. Until a foolish waitress kissed you. His gaze dropped to her mouth. Until a fearless woman made a foolish decision. The space between them seemed to narrow. Roman lifted his hand. His fingers almost touched her cheek. Then a knock sounded at the door. Roman stepped away immediately. Gabriel entered with a tablet. Derek has been found. They brought Derek to an underground parking structure beneath one of Roman's hotels. Emma insisted on being present. Roman refused. Emma continued arguing until he finally agreed to let her watch through a security screen from another room. Derek sat beneath a bright light with his wrists secured to a metal table. His face was bruised. Fear had hollowed his cheeks. Roman entered alone. He placed Emma's old phone on the table. Derek stared at it. Where did you get that? Roman sat across from him. You entered her apartment. You tracked her. You photographed her. You sold her routines to Serrano men. Derek swallowed. I needed money. Roman's voice remained calm. So you sold a woman you claimed to love. Derek looked toward the camera. She ruined my life. In the room above, Emma felt the old guilt twist inside her. Derek continued. I gave her everything. She left because she thought she was better than me. Then she threw herself at you. Roman leaned forward. She left because you hurt her. You do not know anything about us. I know she flinches when a man reaches for her too quickly. I know she apologizes before asking for what she needs. I know she checks every locked door twice. Those habits were taught by someone. Derek's face changed. Jealousy replaced fear. You think she wants you? Roman did not answer. Derek smiled. She used you. That is what she does. She makes men feel needed. Then she leaves when she gets bored. Roman's hand tightened once against the table. Emma recognized the wound Derek had chosen. Roman feared abandonment. Derek had somehow discovered it. You will never be normal enough for her. Derek said. She will look at you one day and see what everyone else sees. Roman stood. The interrogation was over. Derek laughed. Ask her why she really stayed with me so long. Ask her what happened the last night we lived together. Roman stopped. Derek looked directly toward the hidden camera. Tell him. Emma. Her blood turned cold. Roman entered the observation room minutes later. Emma stood with her arms wrapped around herself. What happened the last night you lived with him? She looked at the screen where Derek still sat beneath the light. It does not matter. Roman's expression hardened. It matters if he believes it gives him power over you. Emma closed her eyes. The memory returned in pieces. A locked bedroom door. Derek shouting. A broken lamp. His hand around her throat. The moment she believed he would kill her. Then the kitchen knife she had grabbed. Emma opened her eyes. I stabbed him. Roman said nothing. He was choking me. I reached for anything I could find. The blade went into his shoulder. I called an ambulance. But I left before the police arrived. Derek told them it was an accident. Why? Because he knew I would be afraid of being arrested. He used it to keep me silent. Every time I tried to report him, he threatened to tell the police I attacked him. Roman stepped closer. You defended yourself. I still put a knife inside another person. Roman's eyes held hers. And you survived. Emma looked away. Do you think less of me? Roman's face changed. The question appeared to wound him. He reached for her slowly, giving her time to move. Emma remained still. His fingers touched the bruise fading around her wrist. I think you should never have been forced to fight alone. Tears filled Emma's eyes before she could stop them. Roman's thumb moved across her skin. He did not tell her not to cry. He did not tell her she was safe. He simply stood beside her until the tears passed. Then Emma did something neither of them expected. She stepped into his arms. Roman froze. For a man who commanded rooms with a glance, he seemed almost afraid to touch her. Emma rested her cheek against his chest. His heartbeat was steady but heavy. Slowly, Roman wrapped his arms around her. He held her as though she were both precious and dangerous. Emma understood then that his control did not disappear around her. It became restraint. That frightened her. It also made her trust him. Derek was transferred to a secured location while Roman's men searched for evidence against Serrano. 2 days later, the story changed again. Derek escaped. A guard had been bribed. The security cameras had been disabled by someone with access to Valenti systems. Roman ordered the estate sealed. No vehicles entered or left. Every member of his organization was questioned. For the first time, Emma saw uncertainty move through the mansion. The threat was not only outside. Someone close to Roman had betrayed him. Suspicion fell on Gabriel because his security code had opened the holding area. Roman refused to believe it. The council demanded Gabriel's execution. Emma found Roman in the private chapel behind the estate. He stood before a dark wooden altar, his hands resting against the back of a pew. You are hiding in a church, Emma said. Roman did not turn. I am avoiding men who want me to kill my closest friend. Do you believe Gabriel helped Derek escape? No. Then why are you considering it? Because belief is a luxury in my world. Emma walked down the aisle. What does the evidence say that Gabriel's code was used? Could someone have copied it? Yes. Who had access? Roman finally looked at her. 3 people. Gabriel. Me. My uncle Victor. Emma had met Victor Valenti twice. He was elegant, charming, and old enough to have advised Roman's father. He had welcomed Emma to the estate and spoken openly about the danger she brought. Roman trusted him more than anyone except Gabriel. You do not want to suspect your uncle. Roman's eyes grew distant. He raised me after my mother died. That does not make him innocent. Roman turned toward the altar again. You sound like someone who learned that love does not guarantee safety. Emma stood beside him. It does not. Silence filled the chapel. Then Roman asked the question he had avoided. Why did you stay with Derek? Emma looked toward the candles. Because he was kind at the beginning. He remembered small things. He made me feel beautiful when I did not believe I was. When the kindness became control, I told myself the good version of him would return. She looked at Roman. I stayed because I loved the person he had pretended to be. Roman absorbed the words. And when did you leave? The night I realized I was becoming someone I did not recognize. Roman's jaw tightened. Emma touched his hand. Do not become someone you do not recognize because you are afraid of betrayal. His fingers closed around hers. The gesture was intimate in its simplicity. Roman stared at their joined hands. I have never held something without understanding how I could lose it. Emma stepped closer. Maybe that is why you hold everything too tightly. Roman lifted his gaze. He leaned toward her. Emma felt his breath against her lips. The almost kiss carried more tension than the first. This time, there was no fear. No audience. No desperate need to escape. There was only choice. Roman stopped before their mouths touched. Tell me to continue. Emma's heart pounded. She could feel how much the words cost him. A man who controlled everything was asking permission. Continue. Roman kissed her. The kiss was slower than the one outside the restaurant. It was deeper, but still restrained. His hand settled at her waist, drawing her against him with careful strength. Emma touched the scar above his eyebrow. Roman shuddered. That tiny break in his control made her want him more. He pressed his forehead to hers. This cannot happen again. Emma was still breathing hard. That was disappointing. You are in danger because of me. I was in danger before you. Not like this. Roman stepped away. The cold returned to his expression, but Emma had already seen beneath it. She had felt the man hidden inside the boss. Roman left the chapel. Emma remained beside the candles, angry enough to follow him and wise enough not to. The next morning, Victor requested a private conversation. He found Emma in the garden. You are becoming important to my nephew, he said. Emma studied him. Roman would disagree. Roman has spent his life disagreeing with anything that frightens him. Victor offered her a gentle smile. He described Roman as a boy who had watched his mother burn inside a car. He said Roman had not cried at the funeral. Instead, he had stood beside the grave and promised never to give an enemy another person to use against him. You are that person now, Victor said. Emma's unease deepened. What are you asking me to do? Leave. Victor placed an envelope on the garden table. Inside were travel documents, cash, and a key to a house in Oregon. Roman prepared this. Victor hesitated. He authorized arrangements in case the estate became unsafe. Emma looked toward the mansion. Does he know you are giving them to me? Victor's smile faded. He knows what must happen. He simply lacks the strength to tell you. The words cut deeper than Emma expected. Roman had kissed her, then retreated. He had spent the following night behind locked doors with his counsel. Perhaps he had already decided she was a weakness he could not afford. Victor touched the envelope. A car can take you north within the hour. Once you cross the state line, new protection will meet you. Emma looked at the documents. The name on the passport was not hers. Everything about the offer felt rehearsed. Too smooth. She remembered Roman's words. Belief was a luxury in his world. Emma closed the envelope. I need to speak with him. Victor's expression hardened briefly. Roman is preventing a war. Do not make this more difficult. Emma stood. That is not your decision. Victor reached for her arm. The touch lasted only a second. Emma recoiled. Victor released her immediately. But the charming mask had already slipped. Leave before Roman becomes his father, he said. Emma walked toward the mansion without answering. Roman was not in his office. Gabriel had been confined to the security wing. The estate guards claimed Roman had gone to the city for an emergency meeting. Emma entered the library and searched the desk. She found nothing about Oregon. Nothing about travel documents. Then she noticed a tiny red light beneath the bookshelf. A hidden camera. Roman had told her every security device in the estate was connected to a central system. This camera had a separate transmitter. Emma followed the wire behind the shelf and found a small recording unit. Inside was a memory card. She took it to the technician who had examined her phone. The card contained footage from Roman's private rooms, meetings, conversations, security codes. Victor had been watching his nephew. One recording showed him copying Gabriel's access code. Another showed him meeting Derek inside a service corridor 3 weeks before Emma kissed Roman. The betrayal had begun before she entered their lives. Derek had not found Serrano by accident. Victor had recruited him. Emma tried to call Roman. No answer. Then the estate alarms began. A blast shook the western gate. Smoke rose beyond the trees. Armed men poured through a breach in the wall. Victor's escape offer had never been about saving Emma. It had been designed to place her inside an unguarded car. Emma ran toward the security wing. She used the recording to prove Gabriel's innocence. And the guards released him. Gunfire spread through the estate. Gabriel handed Emma a protective vest. "Where is Roman?" "Meeting Victor at the Old Harbor warehouse." Emma stared at him. "It is a trap." Gabriel understood immediately. He called Roman. No response. Another explosion shook the building. Gabriel ordered the remaining guards to defend the estate. Emma grabbed the envelope Victor had given her. The car waiting to take her north still stood near the service entrance. The driver was one of Victor's men. Emma approached as though she had accepted the plan. He opened the rear door. She struck him with the metal fire extinguisher hidden beneath her coat. Gabriel stared at her. Roman is going to be furious. Emma took the driver's keys. He can survive long enough to complain. They drove toward the harbor, through streets flooded by afternoon rain. The old warehouse stood beside a fog-covered pier, surrounded by shipping containers and abandoned machinery. Roman's vehicle was parked outside. Its windshield had been shattered. Inside the warehouse, Roman stood beneath suspended industrial lights. Victor faced him from across the room. Derek stood beside Victor, holding a gun against Roman's injured shoulder. Roman's hands were empty. Blood darkened his shirt. Victor had brought 6 armed men. Emma and Gabriel watched from behind a row of containers. "Why has Roman not attacked them?" Emma whispered. Gabriel pointed toward the upper level. Explosives had been attached to the support beams. Victor held a trigger. If Roman moves, the building collapses. Victor's voice echoed through the warehouse. "Your father never understood that fear is more reliable than loyalty. I spent decades building this family while he took the credit. Then he gave everything to you." Roman's face remained calm. "You killed him." Victor smiled. "Your father died from a weak heart. My brother did not." Victor's expression changed. Emma realized the truth before he admitted it. Victor had arranged the airport ambush that killed Roman's brother. He had also planted the bomb beneath Roman's mother's car years earlier. Every tragedy that shaped Roman had come from the man who later raised him. Roman's control began to fracture. Victor saw it. "I created you," he said. "Every lesson, every loss, every enemy. I carved weakness from your body until you became the weapon this family needed." Roman looked at him with quiet devastation. "You mistook survival for gratitude." Victor lifted the trigger. "I know exactly what you are. That is why I chose the only weapon capable of breaking you." Derek turned toward the warehouse doors. 2 men dragged Emma's unconscious driver inside. Victor's eyes narrowed. "Where is the woman?" Roman's gaze shifted toward the containers. For a fraction of a second, he saw Emma. Fear flashed across his face. He covered it quickly. Victor followed the direction of his glance. Emma stepped from hiding before the men could search. "I am here." Roman's expression became lethal. "Emma, leave." Victor laughed. There she is, the brave little waitress who believes she can stand among wolves. Emma walked into the open. Gabriel remained hidden above the loading platform. Emma held the memory card in one hand. I know what you did. Victor looked amused. Then you know, Roman will never choose you over his empire. Emma glanced at Roman. He was bleeding. His face revealed nothing. But his eyes begged her to run. Victor continued. He brought you into his home because he needed bait. He allowed your former boyfriend to remain alive because Derek led him towards Serrano. Every danger around you gave Roman another enemy to destroy. Emma looked at Roman. Is that true? Roman's silence hurt more than an answer. Derek smiled. He used you. Roman finally spoke. I used the trail Derek created. I never used Emma. You knew Derek might come after me again. Emma said. Yes. And you did not tell me. No. The betrayal cut through her. Roman had protected her. He had also controlled the truth. Victor watched them with satisfaction. Emma forced herself to keep breathing. Why? Roman's voice lowered. Because every time I considered sending you away, I imagined him reaching you before my men could. I told myself keeping you close was protection. Part of it was, and the other part, Roman looked at her as though the entire warehouse had disappeared. I could not let you go. The confession landed in the center of the danger. Derek's face twisted. She belongs to me. Roman turned toward him. She has never belonged to either of us. Emma met Roman's gaze. The words mattered. Even now, with betrayal between them. He was giving her back the choice he had tried to control. Victor raised the trigger higher. Enough. Emma held up the memory card. Every member of the Valenti Council has received the recordings. They know you murdered Roman's family. They know you betrayed their security. Even if you kill him, no one will follow you. Victor's smile vanished. You are lying. Emma looked toward the upper platform. Gabriel activated the warehouse speakers. Victor's recorded voice filled the building. The footage showed him discussing Roman's mother, brother, and father. His men began looking at one another. Loyalty shifted. Victor pressed the trigger. Nothing happened. Gabriel had already cut the receiver wires. Roman moved. He struck Derek before anyone could fire. Gunshots exploded through the warehouse. Emma dropped behind a steel crate. Roman used Derek as a shield long enough to reach cover. Gabriel fired from above. Two of Victor's men lowered their weapons and turned against him. Derek crawled toward Emma. Blood covered the side of his face. He caught her ankle. Emma kicked free, but he dragged her down. You should have come home, he said. His hands closed around her throat. The warehouse disappeared behind the pressure in Emma's skull. For one terrible instant, she was back in the apartment kitchen, reaching blindly for a knife. This time, she found a broken piece of wood. She drove it into Derek's wounded shoulder. He screamed and released her. Emma rolled away. Derek reached for a fallen gun. Roman crossed the distance between them. He struck Derek to the floor. Then Roman placed the gun against his head. Derek laughed through the blood on his teeth. Do it. Show her what you are. Roman's finger tightened against the trigger. Emma saw the rage inside him. She saw the years of loss. The hotel attack. The bruises on her wrist. And the sight of Derek's hands around her throat. Roman wanted to kill him. A part of Emma wanted it too. Then she understood the trap. Victor wanted Roman to become the monster he had spent years creating. Roman, she said. He looked at her. Do not do it for me. Derek smiled. Emma continued. Choose who you are when no one is controlling you. Roman stared at her. Slowly. He lowered the gun. Derek reached for the weapon again. A shot echoed. Derek collapsed. Victor stood behind him, with smoke rising from his pistol. He had killed the final witness, connecting him to Serrano. Roman turned. Victor fired again. The bullet struck Roman beneath the ribs. Emma screamed. Roman fell to one knee. Gabriel shot Victor's hand, knocking the trigger and gun away. Victor ran toward the pier. Roman tried to stand. Emma rushed to him. Stay down. Victor is escaping. Gabriel will stop him. Roman looked toward the warehouse doors. Victor reached the rain-covered pier. Gabriel and 2 guards followed. A final gunshot sounded beyond the fog. Then silence. Emma pressed both hands against Roman's wound. Blood covered her fingers. Roman looked strangely peaceful. You came for me, he said. Of course I came. After I lied to you, you protected me badly. A faint breath of laughter escaped him. I will improve. You will survive first. Roman's eyes closed. Emma touched his face. Look at me. He obeyed. The powerful mafia boss, who terrified an entire city, lay bleeding beneath her hands. And the only fear in his face was the possibility of leaving her. The first kiss was not a choice, Emma whispered. I was running from someone. Roman's breathing weakened. Do not say goodbye. I am not. She bent closer. The next kiss will be my choice. Roman's hand closed weakly around her wrist. Promise me. Emma pressed her forehead to his. Survive. And I will show you. Roman was taken to a private hospital under armed guard. The bullet had damaged his liver and caused severe internal bleeding. Surgeons operated for 6 hours. Emma remained outside the operating room, wearing Roman's blood on her clothes. Members of the Valenti organization filled the corridor. Some had once dismissed her as a temporary weakness. Now they watched her as though she held the center of their world together. Gabriel returned shortly before sunrise. Victor was dead. He had tried to escape by boat during the storm. A wave threw him against the pier after Gabriel shot him in the leg. Victor fell into the freezing water and disappeared beneath the current. Derek survived the warehouse gunshot for less than an hour. The Serrano family denied involvement and offered information in exchange for peace. By morning, the conspiracy had ended. Emma felt no victory. She only waited. When the surgeon finally appeared, he told her Roman had survived. Emma entered his room alone. Roman lay beneath white sheets surrounded by machines. The man who always appeared untouchable looked pale and painfully human. Emma sat beside him. She held his hand. Hours passed. Near sunset, Roman opened his eyes. His gaze found her immediately. You stayed. Emma felt anger and relief collide inside her. You were shot. That does not answer the question. Yes. Roman, I stayed. His fingers tightened around hers. You should not have come to the warehouse. You came through a hotel window. That was different. It was more dramatic. A faint smile touched his mouth, then disappeared beneath pain. Emma leaned closer. You lied to me. I withheld information. That is an elegant way to describe lying. Roman closed his eyes. I am sorry. She waited. The apology had not come easily. He continued. I told myself every decision was necessary to protect you. The truth is that I became afraid you would leave once you understood what my life required. You decided for me. Yes. Do not do that again. Roman opened his eyes. There may not be an again. Emma frowned. What does that mean, Roman? Looked toward the window. Victor's betrayal exposed everything. The organization is unstable. My enemies will recover. Another man will eventually decide that hurting you is the easiest way to reach me. Emma's heart sank. He had already made another decision without her. What are you planning? To dismantle the parts of the organization that create the greatest danger. Gabriel will take control of the legal businesses. The remaining operations will be divided and closed. And I will leave the country once I can travel. Emma released his hand. Roman watched the movement with quiet pain. You planned this before the warehouse? Yes. The passport Victor gave me was real. Roman nodded. I prepared it. Not for me. For both of us. Separate roots. Separate identities. Emma stared at him. You were going to disappear. Once you were safe. Without telling me. I knew what you would say. No. You were afraid of what I would choose. Roman had no answer. Emma stood. Rest. His face hardened against the emotion she saw there. Emma. She walked out before he could stop her. For 3 weeks. Roman recovered at the estate. Emma returned to her apartment after the locks. Windows and security system were replaced. She went back to the restaurant. She rebuilt her routine. Roman did not ask her to return. He sent no gifts. He made no attempts to control her schedule. 2 guards remained nearby. But Emma suspected they were protecting her because the final Serrano negotiations were incomplete. She missed Roman with an intensity that angered her. She missed his silences. She missed the way his eyes followed her across a room. She missed the restraint in his hands. Most of all, she missed the man who believed loving her meant leaving before she could be hurt. One evening, Gabriel came to the restaurant. Roman is leaving tomorrow. Emma stopped polishing a glass. Where? He did not tell me. You are his head of security. Not anymore. He transferred authority this morning. Emma looked toward the windows. Why are you telling me? Because he has spent his entire life deciding what other people need, then calling it protection. Gabriel placed a black card on the counter. The Valenti Council is meeting tonight at the estate. Roman will formally surrender control. Emma stared at the card. Does he know you are here? No. He will be angry. Gabriel smiled. He can survive it. The council gathered in the estate ballroom beneath crystal chandeliers. More than 70 men and women filled the room. Some were business leaders. Others were soldiers who had served the Valenti family for decades. Roman stood at the front. He wore a black suit despite the pain he still carried. His face was pale, but his posture remained commanding. A document rested on the table before him. I am transferring authority over all legitimate Valenti holdings to Gabriel Moretti. Roman said, remaining operations will be dissolved under the terms already distributed. Murmurs spread across the room. Roman continued, anyone who wishes to challenge the transition may do so tonight. No one moved. Roman reached for a pen. The ballroom doors opened. Emma entered. Every face turned toward her. She wore the same dark green dress she had worn on the night she kissed Roman. The wrist Derek had bruised had healed. Her hands still trembled. But she refused to hide them. Roman became completely still. Emma walked down the center of the ballroom. You cannot be here, he said. That is a terrible greeting. This meeting is dangerous. There are more armed guards in this room than in most military buildings. A few people lowered their eyes to hide their amusement. Roman did not. Emma stopped before him. You are leaving. Yes. Because you believe loving me will destroy my life. Roman glanced toward the council. This is not the place. It is exactly the place. Emma turned toward the organization. You all watched Roman Valenti command cities, survive betrayals, and walk into rooms where every person wanted him dead. You call him fearless. Roman's jaw tightened. Emma looked back at him. But this man is terrified of allowing someone else to choose him. The room fell silent. Roman spoke carefully. Emma. No. You decided I should leave the estate. You decided I needed a new identity. You decided your absence would protect me. You made every choice except the one that belonged to you. His eyes darkened. Which choice is that? Whether you want me? Emotion moved across Roman's face. Wanting you has never been the problem. Then say it. Roman looked around the ballroom. The people in this room had seen him order executions without changing his expression. Now they watched him struggle to speak to one woman. I want you, Roman said. More than I have wanted anything I had the right to keep. Emma's throat tightened. You do not keep me. I know. You do not decide where I live. I know. You do not hide the truth because you are afraid I will leave. Roman hesitated. I will try. Wrong answer. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Roman stepped closer. I will tell you the truth, even when I believe it will cost me everything. Emma held his gaze. Better. Roman's voice lowered. That does not change what I am. I am not asking you to become harmless. You should. I am asking you to become honest. His control began to break. I have ordered men killed. I know. I have built my life on fear. I know. There will always be consequences attached to my name. Then we face them together. Or I walk away by my own choice. You do not disappear and call it love. Roman looked at her as though he had reached the edge of something he had spent his entire life avoiding. What do you want from me? Emma stepped into the space between them. The first time I kissed you, I was afraid. I used you to escape a man who refused to accept my choice. Her hands rose to his face. Roman did not move. Emma's voice became softer. I will not let you become another man who refuses to accept it. Pain entered his eyes. Then tell me your choice. Emma rose onto her toes. She kissed him. This time, there was no danger behind her. No hand around her wrist. No crowd of strangers watching from a sidewalk. There was only Roman. His hands settled at her waist but did not pull her closer until Emma wrapped her arms around his neck. Then his restraint broke. Roman kissed her with the hunger he had controlled since the night they met. The ballroom disappeared around them. His hand moved against her back. Emma felt the tremor in his body when he realized she was not running. When the kiss ended, Roman rested his forehead against hers. You chose me. Emma smiled through tears. Do not make me regret it. Never. She pulled back. That sounds impossible. Then I will spend the rest of my life trying. 6 months later, the Valenti Empire had changed. The illegal shipping routes were closed. Corrupt officials lost the protection they had purchased. Several businesses became legitimate companies under Gabriel's leadership. Roman remained feared. He simply stopped building his power through the suffering of people who had no choice. Emma did not move permanently into the estate. Not at first. She kept her apartment and continued working at the restaurant. Roman learned to ask before sending a driver. Emma learned that accepting protection did not always mean surrendering independence. They fought. Roman still gave orders when frightened. Emma still walked away when anger made honesty difficult. Then they returned to the conversation, again and again. Trust was not a promise made once. It was a choice repeated until fear became weaker than love. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Roman brought Emma back to the luxury restaurant on Nob Hill. The same golden lights glowed above the entrance. The same doorman stood beneath the awning. A crowd gathered along the sidewalk. Though this time, they were waiting for Roman and Emma to arrive together. Emma wore a deep red dress that celebrated every curve she had once been taught to hide. Roman stepped from the vehicle and offered his hand. She accepted it. They stopped beside the exact place where she had kissed him. Roman looked toward the restaurant doors. You nearly caused a war here. Emma smiled. You looked useful. His hand moved around her waist. You kissed me without permission. I apologized. Eventually, Roman leaned closer. Do you regret it? Emma looked into the face of the man she had once mistaken for another danger. He was still dangerous. He always would be. But he had given her the truth, even when it exposed his fear. He had learned that love did not require ownership. She had learned that strength did not require facing everything alone. Emma touched the scar above his eyebrow. The first kiss saved me from Derek. And the second, she smiled. The second saved you from yourself. Roman kissed her beneath the golden lights. People watched. Cameras flashed. No one on the sidewalk spoke. But this time, the silence did not belong to fear. It belonged to the sight of the most ruthless man in San Francisco, holding one woman as though power meant nothing compared to the fact that she had chosen to remain. And when Roman finally lifted his mouth from hers, Emma whispered the truth that had changed both of their lives. "I am not yours because you protected me." Roman held her gaze. "Why are you mine?" Emma placed his hand over her heart. "Because every day, I choose you." Roman's expression softened in the quiet way reserved only for her. "Then every day," he said, "I will give you a reason to choose again. Together." They walked through the restaurant doors. The city still feared Roman Valenti. His enemies still whispered his name. His organizations still lowered their heads when he entered a room. Yet the woman beside him knew the secret no rival had ever discovered. Roman's greatest strength was not the violence he could unleash. It was the violence he had learned to control. His greatest possession was not the city, the mansion, or the empire built beneath his name. It was not a possession at all. It was Emma's choice, a choice first made in fear, then made again in trust, and finally made freely, beneath the golden lights where everything had begun.